So, Alice, I have noticed something. One time tonight, as my daughter and I were having early dinner in, what was I, Anchor Pizza?
Yeah.
Anchor Pizza in Newburyport, Massachusetts tonight. We were walking just down the streets of Newburyport. Went into this restaurant called like New Food or something, Nufood. First,
What was it?
which is like a really like zillennial kind of place. And I didn't understand how anything worked, so we walked out of that place.
And instead you went for the overpriced.
Well, but as we're walking
pizza.
out, we walk out of that place. It's on an old brownstone. There's an alley next to it. In the alley, there's a woman, an employee of the place. I shouldn't have outed her, but I did. I think she's an employee of the place anyway, who was bawling, crying. Absolutely breaking down, crying. Somebody yelled out to her, "Are you crying? I'm so sorry, Christina." Whatever it was. And she was really upset. Her head was in her hands. She was sitting down, just absolutely falling to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, at my son's thing, his rock climbing thing, one of the girls who takes rock climbing, probably 13 years old, whatever, she burst into tears. And her friends consoled her, etc. And so, one, it gave me, well, a few things it did. It gave me this horrible realization that, in like lightning bolt hit me, and I get these sometimes for different reasons, that could be my own daughter finding out that I'm dead.
Oh.
Like crying, because maybe that's what was going on. Maybe it wasn't. Whatever. I mean, ideally, I would assume she'd be upset. But no. So, but it's just like so. So it hit me like oh my goodness, I never thought about that. Just how upset and like how it would play out.
Mm-hmm.
If I was just suddenly dead.
Can you try not to be?
Well, right. Okay. So, but that's not. And so, But then I was thinking today when I saw this second young lady who was crying,
mm-hmm.
was that what if things are just awful for young people? What if we know that the mental health thing is a normal things are tough for girls anyway, but good. In high school, the girls in my high school were treated terribly generally, and all went nuts in one way or another. A lot of them tried to commit suicide or to one level or another. It was just, and they were mistreated, whatever. But like, what if things are just? And actually, for a young woman today, let's say that the girl outside the restaurant was 21 years old.
Okay.
For a young woman today, right now, you can't. I mean, just think how bad it is. One, you don't look as good as anybody on the internet unless you doctor up your picture.
Mm-hmm.
You're always constantly seeing girls who have better boyfriends than you, who are hanging out on awesome yachts, who are living these incredible lives, who have no blemishes, who all have awesome kick-ass bodies, and seem to be living these excellent lives, etc.
Yeah, you probably don't even look as good as the pictures of yourself that you put online because you probably filter them too.
Right, which is ironic you say that because I just said that 15 seconds ago.
No, you sent them other people unless you doctor your photos.
So
I'm just saying, even if you doctor your photos, you still don't look like that when you look in the mirror.
So anyway, so you're working at some restaurant. Dealing with zillennial customers who probably suck at tipping anyway, and having to do something you don't want to do. Everybody's having a better life than you, and maybe you're just lost. I mean, a lot of people are just lost in their early years. They don't know. They don't really have a purpose and whatever. And I do feel bad. I think it's like it's. Even though life was a crazy cluster bleep as well, there was a general symmetry to your social experience, for Generation X people. It was essentially you're out there, you're a young guy, do the brash thing, get the girl, say anything, hold the boombox up, be your own man, be rugged. There was a framework. Break down the prudish girl and say anything, whatever, and make her love you for whatever.
Oh, sure. And there were models for other types of people, too. You could also be an Anthony Michael Hall if you weren't going to be, the main character of 16 Candles. You could be other things. There were other versions of ways to be cool.
Right. Exactly. And those could, because those were represented in film, it probably helped a few Anthony Michael Halls out there who weren't actors, that the beautiful girl in 16 Candles ended up liking him, though through a rather rapey evening. But,
I don't know.
But I'm just saying that, like, life is a big bunch of surprises, and it's a surprise, and it's... I'm not fucking recording right now.
That's okay. I'm recording.
Oh,
I
that
can
makes me
send
angry.
you. I can give you the audio.
Makes me angry.
I can
Oh,
give
that
you.
makes me angry. Keep the F word in. I'm not taking it out. I'm so angry right now. But you're recording.
I'm recording.
Oh, that makes me angry. I can't even begin to tell you. Oh, that makes me angry.
Next time, just try recording, though.
Oh,
and then
that
you
makes
don't
me angry.
have to
God,
be angry. Just
God.
stop.
Vladimir Putin. Dearest Vladimir Putin, please call in an airstrike on Newbury, Massachusetts right now, an ICBM, and please delete me. Oh.
Maybe if he takes out Seabrook nuclear power plant, we'll be close enough to die of radiation poisoning soon afterward, honey.
All right, so I'm disgusted now, so I'm going to change the subject. A couple days ago, I missed this. Joe Biden said this.
Before I began my speech, a thought crossed my mind as I was told the class of 72 is here. I was appointed to the Academy in 1965.
This is the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Appointed to the Academy in 1965.
By a senator who I was running against in 1972. Never planned it that way. I wasn't old enough to be sworn in. I was only 29 years old when I was running. He was a fine man. His name was J. Caleb Boggs. I didn't come to the Academy because I wanted to be a football star, and you had a guy named Staubach and Bellino here.
Winchester's own Joe Bellino, by the way.
So I went to Delaware. But all kidding aside, the best line of the debate was, after it was all over, the announcer, the questioner, who was a good guy but supported my opponent.
Stay on target, Joe. Stay on target.
Who was a good man as well, I might add.
Oh, good, please.
And he said,
we're only 450,000 miles away from the original point now, but go ahead.
Senator Boggs, you have anything else you want to say? And he said, yes, just one thing. And he took the microphone. He said, Joe, if you accepted my commission to the Academy, my appointment to the Academy, he said, you'd still have 1 year and 3 months active duty, and I'd have no problems right now. So the class of 72, welcome.
Okay, so that's not great. First of all, I don't believe Biden was appointed to Annapolis ever. I don't believe that is true.
He said on Friday during his address at the Naval Academy. The president was born in 1942, graduated from the University of Delaware in 1965. In his address, he said he was appointed to the Naval Academy in 1965. Was he? Was it in 1965?
So I did not hear that part of the speech, so I would have to. Okay, I did. I missed.
A lot of writing about it.
I hear you. I hear you. I have not. I need to read it myself and just go back and see what you're talking about exactly. I can't speak to it right now.
Okay, so that is not good that was happening. That was happening whatsoever. It's not good that he said it, which isn't true. He wasn't appointed to the Academy. There could be something vaguely connected that may have happened that had to do with some guy and him and the Navy, whatever. It's not great that the press secretary has no answer for this and is claiming to
And
just
is
not have heard it.
pretending she's never heard of his speech.
Right,
She
'cause that
has
is-
no idea where it came
It's
from.
a tough one to clean up.
I'll have to go listen to the speech. I'm just not sure what you're even talking about. I can't imagine what the president
But
said.
it's not great that Biden is meandering like this either.
No.
This is not good.
Did he also call them the class of 72 at the end of the thing?
No, I think the class of 72 was there, he heard. So some people from the class of 72.
Okay,
were there.
good. That's at least good, I guess. But he's not in good shape. His press office is not in good shape. They've decided to focus on the economy, which seems not like a winning strategy for them right now. I mean, I guess if they were going to focus on what they could do to actually improve the economy, maybe that would be a winning strategy. But since they're just going to try and focus how to message how badly they're failing onto the economy and try and tell us that it's not really happening and everything's going great, I don't actually think that that's a good strategy because things are not going great. Gas is like $8 a gallon in some parts of the United States.
There's a
right
lot
now.
going on right now, but the idea we're going to be able to, click a switch, bring down the cost of gasoline is not likely in the near term, nor is it with regard to food. There's a lot.
Nor is it with regard to food.
Nope. Not much we can do about it.
Okay, and on baby formula, do you want me to take us through these, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Baby formula, his press secretary was receiving questions as well.
I wanted to ask a more general question first, and my more general question, which is, I think, at the heart of a lot of things that you've been asked, is how serious does an issue have to be before it's brought to the president's attention?
So let me just lay this out because I think this is really important. And I've said this multiple times. The reason that we are where we are with Abbott in this facility, with the baby formula in this current situation, and we have seen production go up, again, the graphs that I showed.
She
and
still said nothing.
And that has happened because of our involvement in what we were able to do. Look, the market, there are four manufacturing companies, just four. And that is something that we also have to address down the line. And this is something, as we talk about competition, the president has been very focused on. But FDA, as we've said, called out a safety hazard, a safety issue with Abbott, and they had to shut down one of their facilities. When that happens, they do all the things that happens when a safety issue comes up, and Abbott had to shut down that facility. So that's the thing. That's why we got to where we got to. From the moment that we heard of the recall in February.
Can you remind people what the question was?
The question was, how serious does an issue, like presumably implied like the baby formula shortage, have to be for somebody to alert the president that it is happening?
February 17th, as I've laid out, we took action. We took action and we moved forward and we did everything that we can. And I've laid out to cut the red tapes, and now the DPA, the Defense Production Act, and other things that the flying-in formula from across the board. All of those things from abroad. All of those things were actions that we took to make sure that we dealt with this crisis. But the government, the White House, has been involved since we first learned about the recall. And so that is important to know. The president deals with multiple crises. His administration deals with multiple crises. When we walked in a little bit over than a year ago, we talked about the economy. We talked about COVID. We talked about climate change.
I wanted to ask him.
So there was no answer to this.
No, she did not answer the question. Because nobody told Biden about the formula crisis until it became a crisis. Because he's not all there. And nobody's running the ship in the White House.
And that's what it seems like, especially with this writing. First of all, he did a 180 on Ukraine and missiles. Mm-hmm. A few days ago, no missiles to Ukraine. Now absolutely missiles. Missiles that could reach Russia. There seems to be no... it seems like it's in total disarray. I mean, the NBC piece is probably not one that they wanted to do, obviously, but there comes a time when even progressive media says, okay, this guy is now completely fair game.
Which is why now, like, The Hill is writing pieces on, like, who were the most likely 5 top Democratic candidates to run for president in 2024, which is not a normal thing that you have 2 years into a Democratic administration. So it's not a good sign for them overall. If you're curious, they had Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Amy Klobuchar.
Right.
Today, we're announcing the United Airlines has agreed to offer cargo space for Kendall NutriCare for the delivery of 3.7 bottles of the formula here in the States. I want to thank United Airlines for partnering with us to get this done. They're doing it on their own.
I'm not sure that's going to be enough to solve the problem.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit the I'm gonna hit the wait, what am I hitting next? More baby formula from Ed O'Keefe, right? Or did she already answer that?
No, that's the next one.
Okay.
So you did
She still
February
doesn't
17th
answer the
was
question.
recall. February 18th, FDA issued instructions to states. Can we continue that through April? When did somebody call the White House to say, this is a problem, you guys may need to get involved?
So I could say that, again, the recall happened on the day one of the recall. We took action as a whole of government approach, right, with FDA, USDA, as I just laid out. And the president understands, again, he understands how difficult this is. He understands how challenging this is, and we have acknowledged that. He understands that this is the job of the president to be able to multitask, to get things done, especially when it comes to making sure that your child gets healthy food. And so that is what we've been doing.
When was someone called here at the White House to say this could be an issue that requires presidential involvement?
So I don't have the timeline on that. All I can tell you, as a whole of government approach, we have been working on this since the recall in
The
February.
independent regulatory agency, the FDA, the one that questions have been referred to in the past, is now being embraced as whole of government. Let's point that out here. The other thing, why wasn't Abbott invited today?
Oh, well, because Abbott, as we know, they agreed on a path to safely reopen the Sturgis facility after safety concerns that FDA called them out on. So, look, we understand Abbott is working hard to get back to safely making infant formula. That process is ongoing and should remain between them, and we are encouraged by the progress they've made. Today is about progress and action we can take to ramp up right now. But I want to, I need to say this, and I want to lay this out.
This is the messaging note. In other words, this is the only thing that's highlighted in the packet that says, make sure this is our messaging on this precisely. Don't get bogged down by his question.
Meeting was focused on ramping up production and availability of safe infant formula to American families. That is what matters. We have to remember what FDA did was to make sure that families were getting food that was safe for their kids. That is important, and that's what matters. That's why we showed the chart to show where we are today compared to a year ago. So increasing production here at home and importing high-quality formula from abroad.
Oof, from aboard. Yeah, she's no Jen Psaki, that's for sure. And
well, I mean, what's better? Somebody who's aggressively going to. Well, no. It matters. Jen Psaki was good at the craft of spinning, of gaslighting, etc. This, although I don't know that put together, I think internally maybe people would make people happy, but I don't think that Americans watching appreciated being gaslit about the treadmill crisis.
right.
So maybe this is better. The fact that she's no
like
answers.
stumbling because it's more honest.
Right.
We are working with many manufacturers. The companies joining today represent a a subset of companies working with the administration to increase on supply, whether it be through the DPA, which is something that we know that the president called on, Operation Fly Formula, and FDA's importance guidance. And so the actions are making a difference. And so I just want to make sure that we see what this administration has done, this whole of government approach.
You're doing this now on June 1. If he knew about this,
we have been doing no. We have been doing this a whole of government approach since the recall.
That's what he's asking. When did you start doing that?
Because we had to make sure and really look into what would work and what was the best direction to move forward. That's what we have talked about. We have talked to you all every day that we can about each step that we're taking, whether it's the Defense Production Act or whether it's the Operation Fly Formula. So every step of the way, we've explained why we've taken these steps. We've explained what the process has been to take on these certain items. And so this is what we've been doing, and we have been working on this 24/7, and we have seen an increase of production. The president met with manufacturers today. He met with manufacturers 2 weeks ago, and so we have been working very hard to make sure that American families out there who have children are getting what they need, whether it's a mom, a dad, whether it's a caregiver, are getting safe and healthy products, food to their children.
It's funny they keep stressing this stuff with the safe, like Abbott was doing something wrong, when like Abbott was never actually tied to any infants getting sick. Like there were several infants that got sick that had Abbott formula, but when they investigated and like tested the formula for the strain of bacteria that was in it or whatever,
right,
they weren't actually able, none of them were like the same strain, and they didn't come from the same place, and it wasn't from they couldn't find any of that strain of bacteria, any of those strains of bacteria in the facility. Like there was nothing, the formula got contaminated afterwards somehow. It got like bacteria in it at someone's house.
Yeah,
there was no like,
but it's even worse than this, because it's June. I show that as being month number 6 out of 12. So the year's halfway gone. They knew about this in the wintertime. The FDA,
and I mean, people were raising
the whole
alarms.
of government shut down the Abbott lab at that point.
Right, and before last year, a year ago, they were raising the alarm about formula shortages.
Here's the problem, is that she keeps repeating on
whole of government approach.
We've been working hard on this. We've been working hard on this. It's important that you remember we've been working hard on this day in and day out. The fact that they've been working hard on this, all of those minds in there, all of those historic firsts in that building.
I'm going to put minds in quotes.
And they can't get baby formula on the shelves, but they've been working hard on it, is not a good look.
No, it's also not.
It's not a good look. We've been working hard. Yes, but also failing. Yes, but we've been working hard.
We know how important this is.
Right. We know how important it is.
We care about babies a lot.
We're working hard. We are just not able to fix this.
Well, it reminds you of what Biden said about the gas. There's just there's not a simple button we can push to bring gas prices down. Wish there were. I know. It takes a concentrated effort to F up this badly over quite a period of time. You have been working on this quite hard for a while. I can see that. This has been a deliberate effort by you to screw things up for a while now. You're right. You couldn't have done this overnight.
Who was the person in the West Wing who decided after 6 or 8 weeks that this baby formula shortage was finally something that somebody should tell the president about?
Look, again, I have to go back and talk to the president. I did not hear him take questions or answer any questions to all of you. And so I want to do my due diligence, right, as his spokesperson to make sure that I have a conversation.
The other thing that's not going well for the Biden administration is the inflation conversation.
When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong about inflation?
No easy questions today, huh?
The Treasury Secretary says that she was wrong, so...
No easy questions today, huh? What happened to all the easy questions we usually get? My goodness. I don't know how Kayleigh McEnany didn't jump the White House fence No easy questions today, huh? Oh, well, sorry about that. It's not just gamesmanship that's happening here.
Right, sorry, if this isn't Russia and you're not Putin, who's going to have the journalist pushed off a balcony if they ask you a hard question. Hate to tell you.
But also, Alice, that's not a hard question. They've all been easy questions, unless you're colossally it all up.
And stupid. Because, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean, but I think Corinne Jean-Pierre may just not be a very smart person.
Alice?
Because, so it reminds me a little when she said that they're importing lots of baby formula from aboard.
Yes. Well, it is aboard the plane.
They're importing it from aboard. It reminds me of a boss I had once who would say things like that, like things that were almost an expression that people say, but like slightly off in a way that makes you do a double take. And you're like not sure they really just said what you thought that they said. And one time she was trying to figure out like who had done something. Mm-hmm. And she's like, never mind, we'll find the corporate.
Oh, and that's great.
It's like, wait, we'll find the what?
Oh,
and she was like, great. The corporate. We'll find the corporate.
That's great. Was she attractive?
I think you thought she was.
Okay, well, I love her more now.
When are you guys going to admit that you were wrong about inflation?
No easy questions today, huh?
The Treasury Secretary says that she was wrong, so why doesn't anybody here at the White House?
Okay, so look, what the Secretary was pointing out, this is talking about yesterday when she was doing her hit with her TV hit with CNN, is that there have been shocks to the economy that have exacerbated inflation.
Another problem is she's coming off, okay, she says, and she's pretending that she's coming off on the fly here. Off the cuff,
right?
You know.
Okay, I didn't have a prepared answer for this, but since I'm really smart, I'll just whip something up for you here.
Flips the book open, and then she's looking at the book the whole time. She's looking down at the book
for the answer to this exact easy question that they prepared her for and wrote her prepared remarks to read in answer to.
Right.
Pressures which couldn't have been foreseen 18 months ago,
Why
including. Well, let me. I'm trying to answer your question. Hold on. I was just getting to the why not, including Russia's decision to invade Ukraine, multiple successive variants of COVID, and lockdowns in China. As she also noted during that interview, there has been historic growth and record job creation, and our goal is now to transition to steady and stable growth as inflation is brought down, as Brian D. said yesterday to all of you when he was standing behind this podium. So the President's economic plan, as we see it, is working.
It's working. The President's economic plan
now we're
is
ready
working.
to transition from inflationary lows to record growth. Oh, thank God they're ready.
They had record job growth, honey. They were busy with the jobs first. Now they'll tackle the inflation.
All right, what else you got? LBK.
So, speaking of economic indicators and things seeming dire, Business Insider had this piece yesterday that it struck a chord with me. Let me put it to you that way. Basically, the premise of the piece.
Hold on, can I just? I'm sorry. Can I play the Biden cut that you grabbed here? You grabbed so much stuff here. He's asked about the baby formula shortage.
Sure.
Before we move off this,
this could have been moved quicker. You know, the question you always on every single thing: why didn't you act sooner? Well, I don't think anyone anticipated the impact of the shutdown of one facility in the Abbott facility, and it was accurately shut down because it was formula was questioned in terms of its purity, and so. Ooh. Once we learned of the extent of it and how broad it was, we kicked everything into gear, and I think we're on the way to be able to completely solve the problem.
Did the CEOs just tell you that they understood it would have a very big impact?
They did, but I didn't.
More aware of that when they took months to conduct the inspection, to interview people at this plant after the complaints were made, and then only shuttered it in February?
Well, the real problem occurred when it got shuttered. So you're saying they should have anticipated it would be shuttered. The answer is, well, here's the deal. I became aware of this problem sometime after April.
After April. Well, that's great. I became aware of it. That is wonderful, throwing everybody else under the bus.
This has been a whole of government approach led by the president, who's very aware of all the problems and has been on this from the beginning. And how dare you suggest that he's not all there? I didn't know it would cause a problem. I only even heard about this in April. What are you talking about?
And now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Secretary. I'm going to have you speak now, and your remarks, and then we're going to hand it over to Samira, to my behind me here. And
how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to do this with this president? Why are we?
Yeah. Now I'm going to hand it over to Secretary. Mr. Secretary, I'm going to have you speak now, and your remarks, and then we're going to hand it over to Samira, to my behind me here. And
Okay.
How long are we going to do this with this president? Really? How long can Ron Klain and Jill Biden keep this up?
Oh, not sure. Hey, so we'll do the chat tomorrow with all the things. Go ahead. What else we got?
Okay, so
then tell me when we hit the time that we hit when it's time to say goodbye, because I don't have that anymore because I'm not recording.
Okay, well, we're 31 minutes in, so just subtract however much you have from that, and think about how many more minutes are on that.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to bring up something. This has been on the internet for a while. I've avoided bringing this up to you because I don't know. It just didn't seem like that important a story, but people are still talking about it. So I think it's like really relatable to some people. So this started on some internet forums a while ago. Somebody asked a question like, what sticks with you? And they said that something that really stuck with them was when they were a kid, their family were expats in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived in Sweden, and they went over a friend's house, and they were like playing with the friend, whatever. And the parents of the friend called them down to dinner, and the kid said, "Okay, cool. Like, you just keep playing. I'll be back in a few minutes." And went and had dinner with the family, and then came back up, and they didn't invite the kid to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started sharing more stories like this. And I guess this is a thing in Sweden that you don't like just naturally feed people that are over your house. That's like not a cultural tradition. That like, so a bunch of people had stories like this of like being at someone's house in Sweden and the family would like eat without them. And like not invite them to have some of the food.
I would definitely see this in Germany. Definitely.
So, I mean, I think the Germans are like pretty plentiful with food. You might not enjoy their particular cuisine as much as like Italian food or something, but like I think they're handing out the bratwursts, right?
Are they?
I mean, I think so. I don't think they're
Well, I mean, you mentioned
stingy
Italian. The Italians would strap you to the kitchen chair and feed you 147 courses, which is why they're awesome.
Well, right. And I thought that was like kind of a universal cultural value, but I guess it's not. So so now this has like been on the internet for a while, and some people have even like some Swedish people have weighed in and like defended it, which is interesting to me. That's like a normal thing that is a defensible culture to have of like not feeding people. So, like, apparently this one Swedish guy, he replied, Swedes cook for the people they expect. Family. Precise portions. We don't mind guests. Just tell us in advance and we'll add one more. And in Sweden, it's understood you don't eat at a friend's house unannounced. No big deal here. We make precise portions.
I can tell you what, I would have appreciated that because I dreaded eating at friends' houses because I didn't know how to be a normal kid. Like, how do you guys act when you're having dinner? Do I pretend I like this or not? I hated it. My brother was very natural and comfortable eating in other people's houses. I still hate it.
And here's another one. As an Austrian, I don't think it's weird either. What makes you entitled to eat their food?
Yeah, not surprised actually.
What makes you entitled to eat their food? I just don't understand. And I think part of it too is like, I'm a kid that grew up in a big family, so there were lots of arguments over food. And like, if you bought a box of 6 ice cream bars and there's 5 kids, there's like a fight for the last ice cream bar. Everybody's mad at each other and always trying to get enough food. So like, the second I became an adult and started buying my own food, I just like pathologically buy too much food. You know this about me. I go to the grocery store and it's plentiful. I want my like fridge and my pantry to be overflowing with stuff so nobody's ever fighting over food. I just want there to be enough so that I can press everybody to stay and eat everything and ask people to eat stuff and like never have to be stingy with food. Like I hate the idea of ever thinking there's not enough. And I remember as a kid the feeling of being at other people's houses.
I'll give you a pass on this, Alice. But like, had somebody visited here 6 days ago, they would have said, "You need to go to a food bank." It ebbs and flows around here.
Because you had been doing the grocery shopping and you refused to get a cart.
Right. Because
so when
carts
I
suck.
that's why the kids beg me to go grocery shopping
because
when I go grocery shopping,
all
the
get
food
their
is
own
plentiful.
private, potato chip bag.
There is a lot of food here when I go grocery shopping. There's not when you go grocery shopping.
Yours is not done correct.
I grocery shop just fine.
The winner is getting the hunks of rotten section bread. That's the winner. That's the thing. It's like a salt lick for these baboons downstairs. Getting the big chunks of bread, and they just eat. Other than that, these kids, especially when we're working during the day, are raccoons. So we have to learn. We can't give them any more chips, obviously, because they'll be
Well, it doesn't have chips, but you can have healthy stuff around and they'll eat it. They wanted peppers today. That's all they wanted.
I served them and their mother today, did I not?
They were delicious peppers. But yeah, if you cut up peppers and leave them around here, they'll all eat peppers. If you cut, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be the healthiest food ever. They'll all eat it if it's what's around. They just want stuff to eat. I just want the food to be plentiful. I don't want to have to be a Swede thinking about how many portions. And I have very distinct memories. I had one friend in particular growing up who, I don't know, everybody in their family was tiny. So maybe this is why. But they were also the only people I knew who bought the tiny half cans of soda. Mm-hmm. I had never seen that before. The first time I was at her house and we were having a sleepover and we were watching a movie and her mom was like, "Would you girls like some soda?" And she gave us each a tiny half can of soda. And I was
nervous thinking about this.
What is this? I felt like Zoolander. Like, is this a soda for ants? What is this thing? But like, there was never enough food at her house. And if I ever ate dinner at her house, it was like you couldn't ask for seconds. Because there wasn't enough for people to ask for seconds at the meal.
Make a decision and go firebomb their kitchen.
I'm not firebombing anybody. I just it just makes me uncomfortable thinking about it, like not having enough food for people. And then like the one time I was there and the mom said, "Well, for dessert, would you girls like a scoop of ice cream or a cookie?" And I was like, "Oh, how about both?" And her mom laughed like I made a joke. And I was like, "No, really, can you not have
this
a
is
scoop
why
of
I've never
ice
liked being in other houses before. I hated
and
it.
a cookie?" I don't know.
I hated it.
Maybe they were Swedish. I don't know.
Goodness. Yeah, no, I hate people. Now I'm angry at them. Tweeted not recorded. By the way, that pizza was good. It was. I could tell it was natural.
Speaking of buying enough for everybody, my goodness.
I know it's expensive. Couldn't afford any for the rest of you guys. Sorry about that. My one son had a slice and, used it to stick it to his brother that he didn't get any. And so that's...
Well, somebody could have gotten enough for everybody. That's what I say.
There's other food. The problem is that Alice's food pantry, too much stuff rots and goes to waste, which is why I didn't get pizza for you people. I want you to eat the stores we have.
You got pizza for you.
Yeah, well, I was at the restaurant and cafe with my daughter.
Next time I'll send you with a Tupperware of lentils so you can have
on
the road.
God, that's awful, awful. Yeah, that's not the kind of place that you can you can get a whole pizza from. It's expensive. It's good though. Really good. I appreciated. I would still prefer Tony and Ann's, definitely. But this was for like beautiful people pizza. This is pretty good. I do like what I'm seeing with this trend of very thin crust. I assume they're just saving on crust at this point, but I love it. I think it's wonderful. What else is going on, Alice? Should I hit the music?
I think we're good for today. I think I got through most of what I wanted to get
I apologize, guys, that my...
Oh, I never got to my article about the
Business
housing
Insider.
bubble.
Go to your article, Alice. You're
The
driving
housing
train.
bubble. I didn't get to talk about the housing bubble.
I have to be here for this, right?
There's not a housing bubble. Did you hear this? So Business Insider did a whole article about how there's definitely not a housing bubble. And they interviewed 32 whole experts, and 2/3 of them don't think there's a housing bubble. So there's definitely not one. So definitely don't panic. The housing prices are completely fine. I mean, some of the experts they interviewed think we are in a housing bubble, actually, like about 1/3 of them. My favorite comment was the person who said that it's not a bubble. It's just that some markets are a little bit frothy.
Okay. I think that should be it, probably.
And even the ones who don't think we're in a bubble think that the rate of growth of the housing market is slowing down. So, yeah, I would be worried if I were like a person who owned a house and was worried about how much it was worth. I'm also worried about the U.S. Marine Corps. Did you see that?
No. Do they not feed you either? What's happening? Are they all trans now?
Well, they're celebrating Pride Month.
Oh, good.
So they tweeted, throughout June, the U.S. Marine Corps takes #Pride in recognizing and honoring the contributions of our LGBTQ service members. And they tweeted a picture of a Marine helmet that says "Proud to Serve" with little rainbow bullets on it.
Okay, I just need a moment here. Hold on. Let me open the drawer here. Hold on.
Was that a rainbow bullet? I sure hope the bullet with which you killed yourself was a Pride bullet. Thank you for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. As always, you can find us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod. Tom swears he's going to do the chat tomorrow, so you can leave a message for us there. That's at burnbarrelpodcast.com. There's a red button where you can record a voice message to leave us for later, and we might play it on the show. You can also find us at facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast. Email us at burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com, and listen to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts.